Remix. 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 Remix.
Yeah. Or should I say, oh, yeah. Welcome out. This is the Remix Morning Show. Right here on Black Liberation Media. In case you didn't know, I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. And thank you for tuning in. Tell a friend it's on again. Here to bring you that boom bap breakfast. So open up and let us in. We about to get it on. Yo, let me introduce you to my good partner, Queen. She goes by the name of Jacqueline Lukman. Ooh, boy.
Hey, you know, when you slow that song down, it sounds less fun and flirtatious and more menacing and terrifying. And I love it for my new theme song. Thank you.
That's Lost Boys. Get up. That was a good movie. You know that was a group. That was a good movie.
The Lost Boys? Yeah, that was very good. That might have been one of the movies one of the movie that really got me hooked on vampire movies was
The Interview?
Oh no, God, I hate that movie.
Oh yeah.
Okay. My hatred for Tom Cruise goes back a long way.
All right. The one with Aaliyah.
No.
Okay.
No, not Tom Cruise. What is that boy's name? Brad Pitt. That's his name.
Brad Pitt.
Yeah. I'm not crazy about him either. But a Blackula, believe it or not.
Oh shit.
Yep. That was the thing. Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't ready for that FUBU answer. Okay. I wasn't ready for that FUBU answer. Oh shit. And then what about a vampire from Brooklyn?
I liked
Eddie Murphy.
I liked it. I dug it. There is now I can't remember the name of the movie, but I know y'all in the chat will. You know it. It's a recent, and like in the past 10 years, vampire movie about a bunch of kids in New Orleans who are fighting vampires. And it was a really good. I can't remember the name of the movie right now, but it was a really good modern twist on vampire movies. And of course, there is always and there will always only be one Blade. Although, if Marvel ever gets their act together and produces the reboot of Blade with Mahershala Ali.
Mm-hmm.
That would, but
Wesley's back. You don't want to see an older Wesley, more seasoned and refined.
He needs to be in it. Yes.
Yeah.
But come on now, let's be real about our bodies and our age.
Hey, Jackie Chan still doing it.
He's Chinese. That's different. They got a whole different healthcare setup. They got better food.
They got benefits.
We can't even.
Free healthcare and everything. They good.
That is true, though. Jackie Chan is like 189 still.
Yeah. So what you been up to for the past week?
I've been trying to write because I feel like that is
Jackie, you either do or don't. So you've been writing.
It's a struggle. It's been a struggle. It's this the first 20 days of this year were like being in a tunnel, and really since Christmas. This was a rough one. This was a rough holiday. So I'm just kind of coming out of the little holiday tunnel.
So where do you get your inspiration? Is it being around your comrades? Is it turning on the TV? Is it being out at one of the rallies? Where do you get your inspiration to write? Like,
all of that and the stuff going on in my own brain. Like I'm I'm always kind of asking questions like, how did this happen? How did this get here? When I see things happening in the
Mm,
news, I automatically think, huh, I wonder where that came from. I
mm.
wonder, why that, like this whole Greenland thing. I am fascinated by this because, like, what, why,
We see
where?
we seeing Columbus in real time right
I,
now. It's crazy.
I'm and I'm not mad at that. I'm actually not mad at
Yeah.
people finally seeing in
Hmm.
real time what colonization looks like.
That's crazy.
Like it doesn't make it colonization never made any sense.
Yeah.
And it was always based on the so-called needs and interests of the greedy people who didn't want to stay in their own countries and work to
Hmm.
produce whatever it is they need in their own countries. They're so greedy and lazy and entitled that their answer to whatever they don't have in their countries is to go and steal it from somebody else.
You know
That's
what's dope?
colonization.
You know what's dope? Like if a teacher, some good teachers out there, they could be like, you know what? Every all the students, just close your books. Let's turn the TV on, and let me show you colonization. I know you're supposed to talk about it in this chapter, but like they could really break it down right now in their eyes and be like, this is what they've been doing for years. We've been trying to tell y'all, but
I mean, especially when Trump, in his whatever it is that's going on in his mind, just flat out tells the truth about the whole thing. And he doesn't realize that he is just exposing the whole plot. Because when that man said about Greenland, well, just because some ships pulled up to, to the shore 500 years ago doesn't mean they own it. Like,
ooh.
really? Do say more, colonizer, say more. Because please explain to me how to apply that. Come down a little further. Come on down
and
a little
and
bit further.
And what does ownership? What is that? What is ownership? I mean, now when you take something by force, that's what ownership is.
That I'm saying, this is
Because
what
they
what
can, you go to okay, you come here and you see the Native Americans or the, I don't like to say the Cherokees, a different you know. So
different. It's
the
okay
fact
to
that
say
they
tribes. It's okay to say
tribe,
tribes because
okay,
that's what they were.
I'll be sweating over here. Like, what can I say?
You trying so hard not to get 2026 canceled.
Oh my god. Where's my towel? I'm sweating. But yeah, I mean, like, how do you even explain that? Like, yo, they were here already, but that doesn't mean they own it. I mean, you gotta have a military. You got. I think that's what it is. You gotta have a military to own.
Or at least you have to have enough weapons from your own home country, and enough bloodlust in your own heart that if you don't have a military, you'll do the killing of the indigenous people yourself. You'll
Mm,
you'll kick it off. And I'm sure when Trump said that, the indigenous people in Greenland, because y'all do know that the Danish are not indigenous, they colonized Greenland.
mm.
The indigenous people of Greenland are like, exactly. And we know that the indigenous people in this piece of land, when he said that, they were like, you don't say. You know,
Colonization
like
on
all of the
colonization.
Native American people are like, really? You don't own it
Mm.
if you just roll up on a ship 500 years ago. Huh. Interesting.
Now, see, that's a good topic, really, right there in schools right now. What is colonization?
Never gonna, never, not on this side of a
Because
revolution.
in the books, it's looked at as a good thing. Like, okay, we finally we're civilizing the uncivilized. We're coming,
Mhm.
and how you do that in these times? What, you gonna go to Greenland and civilize them and bring McDonald's and all these other types of places?
Well, that's what they did to the Soviet Union, and we see where that Russia
That's
was like,
civilization.
yeah, okay, thanks for your McDonald's, but still fuck y'all.
So civilization is change your religion, uh, change your way of life, and eat this type of food that we eat, so we can all get along. That's colonization.
Yeah, and it's not even so we can all get along. It's just like
Yeah,
we're
that's
gonna
true.
take all of your stuff.
We need
We're
to
gonna take
communicate.
you.
We
We're
need
gonna
to.
take everything that is important to you. all of your traditional stuff. We don't want to see it, hear about it, and you are going to do what we say, and you're going to like it. And if you don't, we're going to kill you. That we're going to
That's
get rich. You are going to serve us, and you are going to be happy about it. That's
mm,
colonization. And then they're going to control the education system so that they do say that all of this repression and genocide and cultural erasure, it was for the good of progress and civilization. And
mm.
all the quote unquote civilized people are looking for the remains of their ancestors because they're all buried underneath all of the progress, you know.
Mm.
Yeah.
So we up here watching these quote unquote Italian gangster movies when we should be really watching these timepiece movies that talk about colonists. Those are the real gangsters.
Yeah, but you got to remember Hollywood. You can't trust these people either because they
Oh
get
no,
everything wrong. They get
no.
everything wrong. This is why I don't like those, the period piece movies,
Hmm.
because they romanticize, even when they claim they're trying to tell the story of the brutal struggle for, the American West and all, because that all of these movies are coming out. They're lies because they always skip over the genocide of the indigenous part.
Hmm.
They always skip over that part. They might peek at it a little bit and frame like a conflict between one group of indigenous people and some settlers, and but they completely remove that conflict from the context of why the conflict existed,
Yeah.
because the settlers had no business coming over here from Europe and taking from indigenous people and killing them in order to take it. That so the period pieces, I really hate them
Well,
because they are not accurate, but
yeah.
they're intentionally not accurate.
And then the movies and the history is like social media. You don't put up the bad shit. You put up all the good times. like
Right.
like 4th of July when we got independence. So we didn't
Oh.
talk about how we got it.
Independence and independence for who?
But I'll tell you who was independent, no other
Hmm.
than Erica Kane.
Ooh, hey.
Okay.
Hey,
Hey.
I'm always a little nervous about this Wi-Fi situation.
Well, I had to deal with it too this morning. Finally got me right, but we all got our coffee in hand.
Yep.
Bap.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, all right. How you been, Miss Keynes?
I've been.
Okay. What's the word out there in them streets?
Too much.
I can imagine y'all
Too
right
many words
there.
in the streets.
Y'all right there. You been going back and forth to New York? When last time you been up there?
No, I was just in Philly yesterday, though.
Oh, Philly. Okay, that you ran into some Black Panthers.
Can we not? Let's
No.
not. Let's not. Ooh, ooh. I can't. I can't. I'm trying.
Did you do a little research to find out who they really are?
I have some thoughts on that, just in terms of the reaction of it, because I just am interested. I mean, folks is really getting on like they themselves can call an elder, right? So I just think let's pause.
Okay.
Let's take a little break.
Please.
Because it's I don't know. I think it's spiraling into more spectacle than necessary.
This is
That's all my quick thoughts.
Okay.
Very, very quick thoughts. Because I got my own work.
That's I don't want to. There's so much to be said in this moment in this country. So much. So much to be said. Particularly, about what's going on in Minnesota, the Nazi who, once again, we don't let people suffer the consequences of their actions. And there's so much to be said, and I think that we're seeing, I think, what we've been saying all the time about why people need to read. Because if you read the history, if you understood the history, you would not be responding like, oh, look at Oh my God.
I think we need to advance with technology here. We need to start. People ain't reading. We need to make 90-second clips of the stuff people need to know and put it out there for them. Because people ain't reading. Like this information I need to be. This information because
hold on.
That's the big thing right now. 90-second clips.
So instead of encouraging people to read, we circumvent the reading altogether.
We go to them instead of
how
making
do we
them
go to them? Through 90-second clips?
I'm telling yes.
That's not how we break down we learn how to read.
We break down
Isn't that how they are saying that people's brains are being rotted by AI right now?
It's fascinating. We just keep adjusting to what we know is the problem. Instead, like it's almost like we gave up on people in society in general. Like, it's just too much for them. Like, is it?
Sometimes you got to meet people.
It ain't no sometimes.
Wait. And then
it's not no sometimes. There's no investment in it. If you
check this out.
Investment in that.
Check this out. If they all on TikTok and all on their phone all the time,
that's my point. There's no investment in the kids to remove that. Like, they could be on TikTok. I was on TV. Like, I know too much about pop culture, honestly. Probably, right? But I still read, right? And there was still people to take me to the library. And it was still an investment.
But you was in the 1900s.
It wasn't, whatever. It wasn't. I graduated in 2004. Don't play with me. Okay?
But I'm saying.
I was on the other side in the 2000s, okay, when I graduated. But listen, you can't say that.
But when I was in the 1900s, that's why I could talk. That's why I know that I was able to have time to read. I was on the bus. I was reading. I was writing. You know, they can still do that on the bus and stuff now. But I'm just saying, like, you meet them where they at.
No,
this is where they at.
No, that is not meeting them where they at. Meeting them where they at would be understanding that there is a literacy issue, and how do we circumvent that? What we're doing is taking like the easy route. That's not meeting them where they at. Meeting them where they at is understanding how did they get to these conditions. They didn't just fall illiterate. Children didn't just become illiterate, right? So like meeting them where they at is that.
But you have to evolve.
Bringing the books to the children.
You have to evolve as technology does.
No,
you don't have to evolve as
evolution of technology. The evolution of technology and the usurpation of technology for education is why people are illiterate. It's one of the reasons people are illiterate, because people actually had these discussions and arguments about social media. Well, we don't need to read anymore because we get all our information from social media. TikTok is great. This is how we can reach people with 30-second, 90-second clips. And this is how we can educate people. And look at how people are educated now, because that's how they get their information. This is not more technology doesn't need to be advanced anymore. The over reliance on technology in the delivery of education is what got us in this into this situation. It just that is not. People need to read, and people need to be encouraged to read, and reading needs to be accessible to them with physical books and discussion about what they read so they can understand what they read has to be a part of so there has to be organization in order to do this, to get people to understand this history, not more TikTok videos. Because also, why would you continue to leaving the education of our people about this system up to the platforms that are owned by the people who prop up this system? Why?
Well, that's where it's being lost in translation. What I'm saying is if we're doing it, not if we leave it to them to educate our people, if we do it, because it's that's not all of us are going to school, not all of us is going to college. Most of the education and we got a free mind and free will is when we got out of high school. So a lot of these kids are not going to college. A lot of them are not getting the books to educate themselves. A lot of them are going straight to the workforce. So are they reading books? No, they're looking at their phone. So where do we find these people that's not doing that, not reading books? We find them on their phone, give them the information, just like we're doing right here on Black Liberation Media, by media. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, but to make the claim that we solve the problem of the current state of the lack of education of our people with more technology that is not owned by us, we just got remonetized.
Yeah.
After these people demonetized us because they didn't like something we said. Well, actually, that's not what really happened. But we know what we know that's how that we get censored.
Mhm.
We get censored. We get our platforms shadow banned when we talk about systemic racism. We get our platforms removed. We get demonetized. We get throttled so that our educational content does not get picked up by the algorithm and spread throughout the social media landscape so that millions see it. That is what happens to our content on these social media platforms right now. So even we are creating this content.
Yeah.
And it is being limited because we don't own these platforms.
So I would say we just need a fine balance of both. How about that?
No, we need
Jackie,
to,
come on,
we
work with me,
need,
Jackie. Because if
no,
we didn't have a fine balance of both, we would not have this station right now. We do need to lead. Check this out. You gotta open your mind, open your ears for a second and hear me out. Let me bring my sister back. See if her see. Boy, I tell you, just like these kids in school, boy. I just gotta Yo, so a fine balance of both. We lead them with listen. We lead them with the media to the books. That's how we get them. You throw the reel, you throw the hook out there, and you get them in with the media, and then you give them the books. That's how you do it. You got to reach them though. That's all I'm saying. You never throw away the hard copy. The new stuff, yeah, we gonna do that too, but you never throw away the hard copy, like the books. The technology is next level. So you keep that, but you got to bring them in where they're at and then teach.
No.
Oh,
I mean, look, social media has its place and its purpose. It's great for advertising. Okay, fine and wonderful. But if you want people to learn, that social media is not it. Social media is not the vehicle. It is not organization, people to people conversations like that. We keep wanting easy, quick solutions for a problem that has taken 500 years to develop. And we don't want to actually take the time and the effort to learn how.
So if COVID comes back around and everybody's stuck in the house,
Answer the chat.
if COVID comes back around and everybody's stuck in a house again, how we gonna reach them? We gonna tell them to come outside?
I don't know. I don't know if I could be heard.
No, we gonna reach them. I hear you. What you say, Erica?
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. Right. Just want to name two things. Technology in and of itself is not the issue, right? Because people have e-readers. The issue is that what I'm speaking to is what you said. People not reading. So let's just make these 90-second videos so they could circumvent the reading part. The technology for me is not the issue. My son, who has a visible disability, uses those pens to help him read at some point. He uses and relies on a lot of technology. That is not the issue. I also want to name, as a person who has a program that is centered on youth literacy and getting children those books, I show up with 150, 200 books to everybody block. And I talk to the parents about what's going on in the neighborhood. And I engage the children about the books and the different kinds of books. And what kind of books do you want to read? And I do that in multiple cities as a solo one person. And I say that to say, meeting people where they are is not just showing up and saying, oh, people, we know that people don't read it. It's actually acknowledging this is an issue. And how do we circumvent that issue? We don't just throw the reading away. Because the reading is why, if you cannot read, you cannot write. And those literacy is both.
Mm-hmm.
Both. And we know the children can't write either. And all this shit is hardly legible. Complete sentences don't exist no more. Because they write in social media, right? Because they're trained to speak a certain way, so they write in that certain way because they've never been trained in with books to see how things are written differently across different genres, fiction and nonfiction. What is prose? You know, it's like they don't know that. So when I say you bring and you meet them where they are, that's it. You develop ways to interfere. You don't just throw your hands in the air and be like, And that's what I was speaking to in terms of like, well, just make the 90-second videos. We do that all the time. I didn't see nobody run into a book. I mean,
right.
Well, it leads them.
But I'm saying, has it changed the way that people comprehend things? Right? Because also people read a lot of different books, but how are they comprehending what they're reading? How do they understand what they're reading? That's a literacy
you need
part.
the study groups.
Huh?
You need the study groups. You need all that.
Yes.
I'm not saying you don't. I'm just saying you need to get them there so you can have a study group. So
that
it's not an empty room.
Said. That is not what you started this conversation with. You said we're going to put all the education in front of all of the people in these 30 and 90-second videos on TikTok. That is not the answer. Social media has a role in organization. It's great for advertising events. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's great for putting information out there and getting people to know about a thing so that they can participate in something that they didn't know existed or learn a little bit of a new thing. But that is the limit to social media. It's an advertising platform for serious organizers, because the serious organizers are still doing the on the ground, person to person, door to door, teach-ins, webinars, study groups, all of that. Social media has a purpose. It is a tool. It is not the solution to the problem. It is a tool. That is it.
All right. Well, welcome to the Remix Morning Show, y'all. We are doing it right here where we have news, politics, and culture all at once, giving it to you right here with Erica Keynes, Jackie Lukeman. I am the ear doctor. This is how we started off. We haven't even got in the news, y'all, but the thing is we have some different things we have to talk about, different perspectives and ways to look at it, because we are trying to figure this thing out together. And as long as we're all on the road to liberation, we're going to get there. All right. So I guess we take our first break, and then we're going to come back, and y'all got some stuff to talk about?
Maybe.
Oh, here y'all go. First break right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's get it. Time for a little remix on the remix. but you still be in love, baby. Let's get it. Let me take y'all to a time and place with this remix on the remix right here. We talking about Lisa Coat Jam off that album Lisa Coat Jam with Full Force. This came out in 1985. Name of that song is I Wonder If I Take You Home. Hit that like button and subscribe. If you're new to the channel, go to patreon.com, become a member over there, get footage that's rare, and donate where? At blkliberationmedia.org. Go over there and donate, get you some swag. And please make sure y'all go to our Facebook. Make sure y'all go to our Instagram and just follow. Just push the button so we can get that up so more people can know what's going on. That is how you can also help us to move forward. All right, forward progressive is what it's all about. Now let's move forward and get back to the sisters right here on the Remix Morning Show on Women's Wednesday. Let's go.
Yes, all honor and praise and thanks to Miss Claudette Colvin.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
It's just very touch and go today. I don't know.
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Your internet is. They're trying to shut you down, but you say it only messes up on this time of the day, right?
No, only for this show.
Only
for the remix.
Unbelievable. Maybe it's a lot of traffic going on in the waves right now. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Aren't you close to a military base?
Yeah, shout out for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, speaking of that, sister, real quick, like, do people know her story about her being 15? She was also pregnant at the time, and they chose not to, use her as an example or more use Rosa Parks because they realized if we said it was a 15-year-old unmarried pregnant woman, it wouldn't fly like it would with Rosa Parks. I believe that was part of the story too.
Mm.
Yeah. That's a retelling. I think there's a book, The Darker Side of. I have it somewhere. I was like looking at the myriad of books around here. I'm on this bookshelf or in one of these piles. But there's an actual book that talks about that time. And what I'm interested in is how social media to the point. Like maybe around 2000.
No, she was not. No, you're fine.
Okay, around like 2010, 11, 12, maybe there was a lot of conversation around respectability politics. Insofar that they were like, there was a lot of projection, I think, right? Because there was no consideration for like the context in which things arrived. Like, yes, there's certain dynamics that existed, especially with them being in a church. But I think that people removed the strategy element of it and made it solely like about respectability, right? Because they were they're trying this moral appeal, right? And so if your strategy is moral appeal or you're using that in some sort of way from the church, and this is not even to say whether it's right or wrong, but I just think there's like a fuller context here where there has been like an indictment of the whole civil rights movement, even to some extent Rosa Parks, to say that she's gotten credit for something she didn't do first, or like to remove some of that from her because there was, maybe a misunderstanding or a weaponization to some extent, because a lot of people came up on, anti-respectability politics. A lot of books have been written. But I do think even when we talk about Claudette, there is a way that she's not even really talked about, except to say, we really still don't know much about her, except for that kind of flash in the pan example in a moment of history. So she's also kind of exploited in a way to make a point about respectability politics. And we never really got to know her beyond 15 and pregnant, which is
right. Which again, this is why you have to read. This is why learning our history from social media, from 30-second and 90-second social media videos only relying on that to convey everything we need to know is not going to work. That's part of the reason people still believe that Claudette Colvin was pregnant at 15 when she refused to sit or refused to give up her seat when she was demanded to. Right? This is why we need to read our history, because
But
she told her own story.
can I push
And
back a little bit? When she told her story on what media, that's when a lot of people realized the truth, because the other people were writing that this is what happened. But not until she got in front of the camera on media, a lot of people was like, "Oh, that's not the truth."
and then people also read books. They
I
read
didn't say they
books.
didn't. I'm just
They
saying
read
important
books.
the balance of both.
They read books.
All right. Since you're gonna harp on that,
You gonna harp on not reading.
I did not harp on. No, I'm
Black
talking.
generation media. You making a point?
No,
To
that
say
is
that
not.
you can read. You
That is
double it.
not the point. The point is
double
now
it
that
down.
we are able
That's
to
what it
get
sound
behind
like.
these cameras and control the narrative to where we can put it in
As we
front of
read.
people's face. Okay. How many stage left
first
even? I
step was
have
to
no
read it.
place here.
Because we read first. Oh, ear doctor, come back.
Come back. Come
Come
back.
back.
I mean, we can't have
Ear doctor, you don't come back. I want to name this as light skin behavior. You like, don't
this.
take your
I'm
ball and run
saying.
now.
I'm
Don't take
saying.
your ball
Oh
and
no,
run.
don't be. People y'all in the chat be losing your minds over weird. Look, listen. We know that when people get on social media with the ideas in their head, we know what happens with that. That's all the information they have, the ideas in their head that they got off of somebody else's podcast or platform on social media. They ain't read nothing. They don't know anything other than what they see on social media. We see where that gets us. It gets us Charlie Kirk. What the hell? And Candace Owens. Like there's not a hatred of social media, but we need to understand that social media has its contradictions, and it's a tool. It should not be the sole way we communicate things that our people need to know about this struggle. Because basically, that's just I don't. Why am I still explaining? This is not hard.
No, and well, it's not even about explaining. I just even want to name too that it's not even about this nigga.
They're wild out. Oh my gosh.
First of
All
all,
this.
speaking of respectability politics, not you cutting off two black women on Women's Wednesday. I'm gonna since we want to double down.
Oh my gosh.
But even to the point, like, granted, I have my whatever with social media, but I do think I think it's the emphasis here is to be critical about what is being consumed. Because even in a book, right, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's factual. I think, thank you, Gabriel Rockhill, with his works, his added works to that. But the emphasis on the reading is the critical thinking aspect, the comprehension, the being able to read multiple things and form a conclusion, right? And we're not encouraging that. And that's what I want. It's not like read this book and this is the definite infinitive answer for forever. Because I mean, we would have been free. But read this book in combination with this book, have a discussion about this book, and we'll be getting somewhere. And that's ultimately what is being said. And then,
yes,
chat, let people take their shots at Air Doctor. My God, all right? He didn't show up last week. he didn't show up last week. I've been holding on to this clip of Lady London, and because I've seen 30 seconds of that, and I said, this is every Wednesday with me and Ear Doctor.
That's right.
Every
And
Wednesday. I feel like,
I got. Oh, let me go find something. I'll be back.
Oh no. But then folks in the chat, like, I don't understand. Oh, serious organizers take themselves too seriously. They're too judgmental. Because we ask y'all to read books about the people who did this before us. We're judgmental because we want you to know what Kwame Ture said about organizing and Zionism before we are facing it now. We're judgmental and we take ourselves too seriously because we want you to read about why Mama Winnie Mandela is way more important than people give her credit for. We're judgmental and take ourselves too seriously because we know it is important to read the history of this struggle that we are continuing, because understanding this history is how we learn how the enemy works. We learn what we should never do and the things we should be focusing on. We learn from their mistakes what we shouldn't do now. So we're judgmental and we take ourselves too seriously because we tell you, listen, we learn how important this is because we had to learn this history. So please learn this. We're judgmental and take ourselves too seriously. I've never understood that. That is fun. That is just, I don't get that at all.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. I don't even really look at the chat, so I don't care. But also, yes, I am a very serious person. We're serious Africans. Even as a side, I think I said that yesterday or the day before, and I said, you know what kills me? When they be finding them pictures of like Kwame Ture and they laughing and stuff, and they be like, this is what I like to see. And I'm like, y'all think niggas ain't never crack a joke? Or like, what, y'all think we don't joke? No wonder nobody want to organize. They think it's dreary around here. It's real serious around here. No wonder. Because I'll be fascinated by that. They be holding on to the pictures of Martin Luther King with a smile. They be like, look, he's smiling.
Like, yes, we're human beings with a myriad of emotions. Yes, we like things, we dislike things. Yeah, yes. Laugh, joke, even take a drink every once in a while. May even shake our booty every once in a while. But also serious, very serious organizers too. It's okay. Very weird. It's a very weird thing. But
all right, I think it's time for seriousness.
Yes, okay.
Y'all sure?
I suppose.
All
right. Come on, let's toss the satellite. Toss the satellite. Let's go.
Getting it again.
You just don't read, beloved.
He gonna be on that. He gonna be on there for the next 2 weeks, and that's okay. That's okay. Y'all do realize that it's jokes. It's all jokes. We actually don't have antagonism toward Ear Doctor. Y'all be protecting that man like we are, abusing him like a Lifetime movie. Good grief. Anyway.
You know, we didn't take a poll. I'll just say that.
Oh my goodness gracious. Anyway, yes, there is news going on in the world. Okay, let me start with this because I'm just People are all excited over the weirdest things. Um, you know, Trump has said that, oh, where are you? That's not it. Hold on. Trump has said that he is signing an executive order that, where are you? There it is. Oh, now I can't get this article. Here we go. That he is going to sign an executive order barring Wall Street investors from buying single family homes. And I know folks are like, hey, this is a great idea, finally. But yeah, I'm not so sure we shouldn't scrutinize this because there's something that he's not saying here. So anyway, he signed an executive order yesterday stopping Wall Street investors from buying and owning single family homes amid his push to focus on affordability. When was he focused on cuz I didn't realize that was cuz didn't Mamdani just yeah, okay. Ahead of the November midterm elections. He said buying and owning a home has long been considered the pinnacle of the American dream and a way for families to invest and build lifetime wealth. The order reads, but because of the recent high inflation and interest rates caused by the previous administration, just caused by capitalism, that's all, and capitalists, that American dream has, excuse me, been increasingly out of reach for too many of our citizens, especially first time home buyers. Trump said large Wall Street investors have bought a growing share of single family homes, creating competition with hardworking young families. Neighborhoods and communities once controlled by middle class American families are now run by faraway corporate interests. Controlled is an interesting word, but okay. Um, People live in homes, not corporations, Trump said. My administration will take decisive action to stop Wall Street from treating America's neighborhoods like a trading floor and empower American families to own their own homes. Please don't believe that. That's a doggone lie. Because why is this not probably not the wonderful thing it seems? Because it's too late. Investors already make up the highest share of home buyers in 5 years. Real
Yeah.
estate investors, both individual and institutional, bought 1/3 of all single family residential properties sold in the second quarter of 2025. That's an increase from 27% in the first quarter and the highest percentage in the last 5 years. Institutional investors are selling more homes than they buy and have been for 6 consecutive quarters. Already, um, private investors have bought up and already own 20% of the housing market in the entire country. And if you think this man who just invaded Venezuela for the sole purpose of stealing their oil, kidnapping Maduro, just sold Venezuelan oil and pocketed the money, if you think he is actually going to protect the home buying market so that you poor American can buy a home. I have a bridge right out back in Southeast to sell you with some oceanfront property. This is hmm, this is I'm afraid all smoke and nothing else, especially when you consider the proposal that was floated about the 50-year mortgage
Yeah,
last.
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's not going away just because they stopped talking about it. That's still very much a part of their housing plan. I think it's interesting that the word affordability is being used in this in the way they're describing this, and I think that's obviously politically intentional in light of Mamdani's win in New York. But ultimately, I don't think it's going to mean too much of anything. Housing is not going to get more affordable or more available for first time home buyers in this country. And private investors like BlackRock and Vanguard are not going to stop buying single family homes and reselling them at exorbitant rates that working people can't afford. This executive order is not going to do much of anything because the damage has largely already been done.
Yeah, I feel like it's a executive order to circumvent the eventual bubble bursting, because that bubble,
Mm,
the only thing that held it off was the pandemic. And then you've seen like what 2022 when the banks collapsed, and because people started flooding Silicon Valley then extended itself into the Midwest. Um, so even seeing and then the focus, I think, on single family homes too, um, I think is in tandem, or it seems to be in tandem with the 50-year mortgage. And so being able to entrap working families in this 50-year mortgage as homeowners, right?
mhm,
But I think it's very interesting because real estate is really down bad. Real estate has collapsed Saks Fifth Avenue completely, and Neiman Marcus completely. So real estate is on its way to really being a significant burst, and we haven't really felt it yet because the pandemic held it off, but it's been oncoming. And so when you watch these kind of like these flipping house shows or like $1 Million Listing, where they have these big budgets for single family home mansions, etc., you can see right after COVID there was no interest or very low interest, and then
mhm.
immediately 2021 leading into 2022 then things doubled. And so if you're watching real estate agents or these shows of real estate agents, they had a really good year, and then you see like it's getting harder. And then when you look
Mhm.
at places like Hudson Yards, which is more capital investment, they can't
Yeah.
even fill in these apartments. They can't even get people in. So
Mhm.
even this conversation about affordability, I do even want to caution how we do and don't respond to Trump around that word too, because we know that was like a gotcha term for the Democrats, right? As
Mhm.
opposed to actually speaking um, about equitable housing. Affordability became like this all encompassing term where they get to decide what the cap for affordability is. So you can be a group of people who fall in that pocket of affordability, but it's not something that's accessible to everyone. But
Mhm.
it is how it's being promoted. So there's affordability housing that's $2,100 a month.
Right. Right.
Who's affording that, right?
Mhm. Right, right. And
So
yeah, and a key part of Trump's executive order is apparently that their approach to addressing this affordability issue with housing is to come up with new definitions for the kinds of housing investors are allowed to buy. So they're literally going to come up with a definition for what a single family home is. And you would think, you and I are like, well, why do you need to define that? Well, because if you want your investor friends to keep making money, but you're going to lie to the people and tell them I'm doing this to rein in my investor friends, there has to be some mechanism of sleight of hand, and that's the mechanism, the definition of what a multi or of what a single family home is, so that nothing actually stops. You just think this is being done for you. So I think that's very, very interesting, the way words are used in politics, words that make complete and perfect sense to us, but politically they might mean something different.
yeah. And I think that's a large part of how we have assessed what the Dems have been able to get away with, right?
Mm,
Um, because there's a housing crisis in every major city that has exacerbated in many sense, like in many ways. And so the response to that has been affordable housing, right? So even
mhm,
to that's not the issue, because affordable housing again gets capped or decided on, like, who decides what is affordable. And like
mhm,
even to that point, that makes me think about like how the lottery system works in New York, which is like complete BS, by the way. But they offer it solely so that these investors are able to build, because that's like the workaround. If they don't have at least one affordable unit, then they cannot build, right? So what affordable looks like. And so then you have your affordable unit, but you have no access to the amenities. You have to go through a back door. You have a special, like, you know? So,
Right.
yeah, and they decide when to put you out over any little thing. Like, I smell smoke in here. You gotta go.
Right. It's you. It's the
after
poor.
they're affordable, and after they have their affordable tenant, now they met the requirement. Now they can jack up the price and get the people they actually wanted to get in here. And that's been ongoing in New York. So I just keep looking at Hudson Yards, which is absolutely hideous. But all these structures that they keep building in New York is just like, have you ever seen Barclays? What even is that? Like, what is that? So I don't know what the architecture game is like. It looks really slim, you know? It looks like the creativity is gone in architecture. I don't know. But, yeah, and most of these, like in New York especially, they talk about there's about at least 200,000 empty homes, which is akin to a sixth borough. And that's because it's investments.
And it's the same in DC. The same. If you go to and close in suburbs like Arlington, right across the river, if you go to the area out at Route 1, there is all of this new development, all of these new condos and apartment buildings and luxury high rises, and most of those places are empty. Most of it, downtown DC as well, empty, because nobody can afford it, and they just sit empty, and they're huge hulking gray steel glass empty boxes, while people are still, you know, living in the street and being rounded up, criminalized for not being able to afford a place to live. So that's where we are. Hey, but we do have a guest, and you know who is always around, always reliable? The ear doctor.
Oh, look at that. Buttering it up. I love
See?
it. Yes. Oh, that love I'm getting in the chat room. Thank you, chat. You know, some days y'all hold me down. You know what I'm saying? Other days, I just don't know.
Why? You battered? Somebody beat you? Somebody beat you?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. They just love on me so much. It just hurts sometimes.
I thought you got beat up.
All right, boom. What we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. We got guests, so we're going to clean up and make sure everything is looking good around here. And yeah, let's take a break right here on the Remix Morning Show. Yeah. Go take a quick break real quick. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Go to patreon.com. Become a member over there. Get footage that's rare. Donate where at blkliberationmedia.org. Also go over there and get you some merch, some fly gear to stay nice and warm in this cold weather. That will help us to stay on this platform and giving you what you need. All right, boom. Some real quick news I just seen about dear old Morris Brown. We are talking about Morris Brown. Yes, we're talking about Kevin James. He was about a week ago, he was fired, abruptly removed by the board of trustees at Morris Brown, and he was about to give his job to a sister named Nzinga. But after he got on social media and media went all around about this firing, the board realized that they'd be breaching the contract if they fired this man. So guess who's back on the job? That's right. He is back on the job after just being told you're getting fired. So big up to Kevin James. He's done great over these 7 years getting Morris Brown back where it needs to be. All right, that's just your quick news. Now let's get back to it right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's go. All right. So yeah, Erica was poking a little fun at me, which about my Morris Brown.
We're gonna have to talk about that on the other side of this interview because I got questions.
Well,
But
you know.
but we do have a
Yes, we
guest.
do. So let's go ahead and bring them up. Right.
Welcome back to the Remix Morning Show. I am Jackie Lukman. That is Erica Keynes, and we are joined by a special guest today to discuss a very important topic. So, Erica, please take it away.
Yes. Thank you. I will allow Nina to introduce herself. But I'm sure many have seen Nina Farnia online in discussion around Iran, and we wanted to be able to have her come on. She is a professor. She is very highly knowledgeable, and we wanted to be able to kind of poke through some of the misinformation around that's consistently around Iran. So Nina, if you want to introduce yourself to our audience, and then we can start.
Hi, thank you all for having me on. It's great to be here with you. I love your show. My name is Nina Farnia. I'm a law professor, but also a legal historian. And my research and scholarship is focused on U.S. imperialism. I'm also one of the co-founders of the Anti-Imperialist Scholars Collective. And I worked actually with folks from BAT on the International People's Tribunal on U.S. imperialism and sanctions a few years ago. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Also, we worked with Nina this time last year. We did a webinar on Haiti and Palestine and the Zone of Peace. So you can go check that out on the BAP YouTube. But if you had tuned in earlier, we were having a little riff back and forth with our producer, our lovely and always appreciated producer, Ear Doctor, just about reading. And ultimately, I think this is a good way to kind of talk about Iran, because there's a lot of misinformation around Iran that does lean into, the single individual narrative, what, Iranians have to say. And we know there's a spectrum of voices. So we wanted to invite you here to just get an idea of what is happening in Iran. Is there a background context that's being missed as we talk about protests currently?
Yeah. So Iran had a revolution in 1979. Up until that point, it was not subject to direct colonialism, but really indirect colonialism by the United States. It was under a monarchy. That monarchy was established following a coup in 1953. That was the first CIA-led coup. And that coup removed Prime Minister Mossadegh, who had nationalized Iranian oil. That's why they removed him. The West wanted the oil. So there was a very strong grassroots revolutionary struggle that was waged for basically the second half of the 20th century, though it began before. It was really all throughout the 20th century, culminating in the 1979 revolution, which was a wide range of forces. It included Islamists, leftists, people that identified as both Islamist and socialist, feminists, women's movements, youth, students, labor. It was very wide range. Since that moment, Iran has been subject to a massive hybrid warfare campaign by the United States. Immediately following the revolution, Iraq invaded Iran, seeking to balkanize it. And that invasion was backed by the United States. Iraq was using American weapons and American logistical support. It ended in an estimate. I mean, I think it's a low estimate, but at least 1 million deaths on both sides of the war. Iraq later, as you know, was then subject to U.S. sanctions. multiple wars. The government of Iraq was toppled. Iran has also been subject to sanctions and blockades basically since 1979, really before, but they expanded quite a bit after 1979. And then as after the 2003 invasion of Iraq, and the 2001 invasion of Afghanistan, basically all the nations around Iran the governments are now being toppled, or significant chaos surrounds the whole country. This is also in addition to dozens of US military bases surrounding Iran. So, and then there are also like hybrid warfare, like infrastructure, like explosions, unexplained explosions, assassinations of nuclear scientists and other scientists, all kinds of stuff like that, right? And then we come to the Trump era, where now we have maximum pressure sanctions. Though it's important to know, Obama also imposed severe sanctions on Iran. So the sanctions are a bipartisan effort. The hybrid warfare on Iran is a bipartisan effort. It's an imperialist project. It doesn't matter who's in office, really, at all. Then you have the maximum pressure sanctions of the Trump administration. You also, in 2020, had January 3rd, 2020, the assassination of General Soleimani, which was the general that was credited with basically defeating ISIS in the region. And that assassination, in many respects, was a turning point for Iran, for US-Iran relations. And then we had the 12-day war over the summer, right? Where now finally masks are off, and the US and the Zionists go in hard, and they bomb military installations and homes of all kinds of different people, and basically attempt to decapitate the Iranian government and the Iranian military. It did not work, right? They must not have known about Iranian capabilities, because Iranian capabilities sort of stopped working at the beginning of the 12-day war, but by when the bombings began, which was Friday morning Iranian time, by Saturday early morning, Iran was striking Israel, and it was striking Israel with weapons that were getting through Israel's air defenses, which are really US air defenses. And that was 12 days of, for the first time in world history, the most important proxy, the most important American proxy in the world, located at the juncture of 3 continents and multiple waterways, shipping lanes and waterways, was being bombed, seriously bombed. And it was by Iran, not by a major world power, right? But by a mid-sized peripheral, quote unquote, peripheral power. That war ended because the US did, I think, what would amounted to symbolic bombings of active nuclear sites, right? Saying that it decimated them. The Iranians say those sites were not severely damaged. They continue to be operational based on what the Iranians say. And then the US basically offered some sanctions relief in exchange for Iran ending the war, and Iran agreed. At that point, everybody knew that we were entering the long phase of war. And what we just saw, what we just witnessed in Iran, was basically that. It began as a legitimate protest in response to currency manipulation on the part of the United States and its allies in the region. The currency fell by something like 30 to 40% over a weekend. Merchants, which are historically a very strong class in Iran, protested, but they're not an enemy of the state. They have a symbiotic relationship with the state. They protested. The government met with them. They negotiated some solutions. The government also met with labor unions. Shortly after those solutions were negotiated, an urban warfare campaign basically showed up in the streets of Iran. At the same time, the former head of Trump's CIA and Trump Term 1, Pompeo, tweeted Happy New Year to Mossad agents or CIA agents in the street. Israeli news channels came out and said they're funding this operation and they're behind it. And so we knew that this urban warfare campaign had little to no ties to the legitimate protesters, but was in fact a campaign to destabilize Iran from the inside, because they couldn't destabilize it in the summer during the 12-day war from the outside. So I think what your listeners might appreciate is that Iran is in a struggle for its liberation. And it's been in that struggle since 1979, really. And that struggle continues until US imperialism no longer has a hold on the region.
Nina, thank you so much for that very, very important and detailed explanation of not just what's going on now, but what led to it. And you said something earlier about the 79 revolution that I think is important, and a couple people in the chat had a question about something you said. You said that the response, the societal response in 79 included all sectors of Iranian society: feminists, students, labor unions, and Islamists. What does the word Islamist mean, and why is it important that that sector of Iranian society was also included in the response to the corruption of the Shah and his role in upholding U.S. imperialism in the country?
That's a great question. And I think the best way to answer it is to think back to Fanon. Fanon talked about how revolution has to be driven by and infused with one's culture. National liberation has to be driven by and infused with the culture of the society that's fighting. And Iran's revolution was, Fanon was very important to the Iranian revolution. One of the sort of revolutionary theorists, Ali Shariati, actually translated Fanon. And a lot of the young revolutionaries and young activists read his work. So part of, I guess, for lack of a better term, localizing the revolutionary struggle in Iran and bringing it to the hearts and minds of the people throughout the society was harnessing the Islamic culture of Iranian society. At the same time, Islam is very materialist, and Shiism in particular is very materialist. So the revolution had a strong materialist component about redistribution of wealth and nationalizing Iranian resources and sort of eliminating poverty and developing the society and all that. Excuse me. That ethos, that Islamic ethos continues. That's why just like a week and a half ago, there were millions of people marching in the streets defending the government. They may have disagreements with the government. Every open society in the world does. And in fact, the more open a society is, the more you're going to hear about those disagreements. But they do not want the Islamic Republic to fall, and the examples of Iraq and Syria and especially Libya are instructive. They do not want their nations to fall to US imperialism or to Zionism or to complete chaos.
Erica, are you? I think Erica might be frozen.
No.
Oh,
I was listening. No, I'm also trying to make note, because I do think even mentioning Fanon, little is really known about that. He was Muslim, and how much of that impacted his analysis as well. So even to hear that both the Algerian and the Iranian Revolution are, foundationally Islamist revolutions, that, they can learn from one another. I think is interesting. Something I didn't even consider. But I do want to name something that you pointed out about Soleimani. 6 years ago to the day of Maduro and Celia's kidnapping. And that was one of the first things that I thought about, after I probably was in hysterics crying. It was a little drama when I learned about the kidnapping on my end. But in my memories, I had the image of the millions of people on the street the day that it happened. And they all had his image up. And I'm like, wow, it made me think about two things: the significance of the 1953 coup and how we've seen those playbook or that tactic play out in Africa and Latin America thereafter. But then also the significance of the 1979 revolution and what Iran means for the region, similarly to what Venezuela means for the region. So I wanted to know if you had any thoughts on that or the comparisons. Like, what is the significance of Iran? And even now, as we're watching what has happened to Syria and what is continuing to happen to Syria, what is the significance of Iran?
Yeah, those are great questions. We actually, the Anti-Imperialist Scholars Collective, did a podcast with Carlos Ron, who's a former Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs of Venezuela, and Mohamed Marandi, who's a professor at University of Tehran. They're good friends. And actually, the week before Maduro and Celia were kidnapped, we did that podcast, and they talked about the historic relationship between the two nations. The two nations are, if truly like comradely, have a truly comradely relationship. They've been supporting each other and helping each other in the face of really horrible sanctions regimes. During COVID, they helped each other. We know about these oil tankers that keep getting seized. Some of those have been tankers that have gone back and forth between Iran and Venezuela. And so Iran is certainly not, in terms of global power, it's not Russia and China, right? It's not to the level of Russia and China, but it is an emerging power, and it has the capacity to help nations throughout the world. It was asked to come help Syria. The Syrian government invited Iran to come help it when Syria was under a hybrid warfare campaign to topple Bashar al-Assad. And Iran did that. Iran has been supplying weapons to Russia since the special operation began. They have a very close relationship as well. It seems like Starlink, there was some sort of collaborative effort there to disable Starlink this past month in Iran, that involved both the Russians and the Iranians. So I also read it might have also involved the Chinese, I'm not sure. So Iran is a central force in this. Sometimes I call it a bloc, though it's not really a bloc. Maybe we can call it a network. I don't know. But this network of anti-imperialist nations, right, that includes Venezuela, Nicaragua, Cuba in this hemisphere, Iran, China, Russia in Asia, the Alliance of Sahel States in Africa. And this bloc is, it's taken some hits. But at the end of the day, U.S. imperialism is most certainly falling, probably best witnessed by the ridiculous images coming out of Davos. Macron with those wacky sunglasses complaining about the United States and saying, let's bomb, we're down to bomb Iran. We'll work with you, but just please let Greenland be. And this kind of division of within the ruling class is a reflection of the falling U.S. empire, and as devastating as it was to witness the abduction of President Maduro and first combatant Celia Flores, I think if these countries can continue to withstand the forces of U.S. imperialism. As U.S. imperialism falls, we're on the verge of some sort of victory, right? It might not be in 10 years or 20 years, but I think we're looking at the end of U.S. imperialism.
That's always hopeful, at least for us anti-imperialists inside the beating heart of this beast, doing everything we can, some of us, to bring it down from the inside. Nina, that can be really difficult when we're having conversations about Iran, because people in this country are incredibly Islamophobic, just hopelessly,
Hmm.
disgustingly Islamophobic. I used to believe they didn't realize, many people didn't realize how deeply manipulated they are into Islamophobia, and they don't realize that they are manipulated to hate Islam, something that they have no understanding about, just like socialism and communism.
Mhm.
But still, I think it, just like I think we have to admit that Zionism is a cancer and a thing. Islamophobia is a cancer and a thing, that is a part of the imperialist propaganda ecosystem in this country. And a part of that Islamophobia is fed by the way that the empire uses feminism,
Yes.
or the feminist language, to manufacture consent for attacking Iran. And the claim goes, we have to free Iranian women from
Yeah.
the evil Islamist Sharia regime, oppressing them. We have to free the precious women of Iran. Please speak to that narrative. And I'm not even going to ask you what to say. Just help us
Yeah. Um,
understand.
so I'll let me. I'm just going to arm your listeners with some facts before I sort of challenge the overall BS of the narrative. The majority of Iranian students are women. The majority of Iranian scientists, graduates, STEM, not just scientists, STEM graduates, so science, technology, engineering, math, are women. Khomeini did a speech 6 months ago about the importance of respect in the home and in family life, and respect of the woman and of the mother. Um, Iranian women are very strong and active in the workforce. And so, and so the, it's not that Islam is more repressive of women. That's not the right way to think about it. The women in Iran have economic and social rights that women in the United States don't have. And if you look at the discourse around Muslim women, it's all about deveiling them. Why? Why are we so interested in maintaining our gaze on the woman? That is directly related to the role of the woman in Western capitalism, because she is a source, she's a commodity in Western capitalism. She is, and I say she, not me, not us. She's a source of money, of wealth. And that is stripped in Iran, just like that's not possible in Iran, just like it's not possible for them to steal the oil and the gas, because the oil and the gas and many of the minerals are nationalized. They're under national and government control. So it's really important to actually understand what is happening. The literacy rate of Iran for women was incredibly low before the revolution. It went up in almost within years, like Nicaragua, it went up into the 90th percentile, like within a very short period of time. So that's just to sort of give you some facts to disrupt the narrative. But also, we know it's BS, right? Like, we know how the US treats women. We know what's going on here. We know how the US treats Black women and women of color and immigrant women, and how they're beating up women in the streets in Minneapolis and all over the country right now. We know. And we know bombs are not going to save women. Bombs are not going to save anybody.
I also there was a question about the economic function in Iran, and you mentioned slightly in the response about the sort of connections between Iran and Venezuela. One thing I did want to note in the indictment for Maduro, they name Iran too, right? So they see this relationship between the two, whatever network is existing, as something to, disrupt. But I am interested. What does it mean actually when you say that the currency was messed with at least 40%? Because I was reading about 40% inflation overnight. What does that actually mean? Because we talk about things like sanctions are an act of war, right? And we talk about this sort of economic warfare and how you can't really sanction an individual, as you're saying. This has drastic effects. Can you speak a bit to what the sanctions have looked like? Because I know Cuba and Iran have held the longest sanctions.
North Korea too. North Korea.
North Korea as well. But what does that actually mean? Practically, materially.
So in the case of Iran, basically a lot of sort of the necessities of daily life were subsidized after the revolution, right? And it's like everything that you can imagine, food, the major food items like rice and flour and things like that. Medical items, all kinds of stuff were subsidized. And as the sanctions got worse, the subsidies were increasingly decreased. That is one way in which the Iranian public has been harmed. Also, they have lacked access to a lot of medical equipment and pharmaceuticals. This has had a blowback effect because now Iran has developed a really strong biotech industry. And it's also become a net exporter of household appliances as a result of not being able to access them. I'll add, it's really important that China and Russia are willing to work with Iran and to trade with Iran despite everything. And that's part of the reason that we're experiencing this blowback effect with the sanctions. But anyways, and then to your currency question. So I'm not a political economist, but my understanding is that when the currency goes down that rapidly overnight, and then you have this massive inflation, what that means is that if you have $100 in your bank account, overnight your purchasing power drops to $30 or $40. That is a lot of money. And you can imagine the type of chaos that could ensue, but that does not ensue in Iran because the government tries to do what it can to support the people in the face of these horrible sanctions. It can't do everything that needs to be done because Iran doesn't have access to its bank accounts across the world. It has lost millions and millions of dollars that are frozen. I think billions. Its oil is getting stolen in the high seas, and yet the people are still willing to go out into the streets and defend the government.
So I think, when I'm listening to you explain what the economic situation really is and the social situation in Iran, it really it always makes me really side eye this place a lot. Because when you said that when the merchants came out and protested, the government met with them.
Yeah. Can you imagine that? Like within days. They didn't beat them up, they didn't kill them.
So understanding that is the reality in a country, that this government that does not care when its own agents shoot people in the face who are picking up their children, while a government kidnapping operation is going on. What do we do, Nina? How do we, who are organizing, how do we connect with people who are still very confused. I don't want to frame it that way. How do we deal with folks we are organizing with on the so-called left in the US who are susceptible to these imperialist narratives about Iran? Who are very yay, I'm leftist, but free Iran. What do we do with that?
So that's the hot button question, right? So first of all, like the call should be no sanctions on Iran, no war on Iran, no war on the axis of resistance and the region, free Palestine from the river to the sea. These should be the calls, right? Iran is one of the primary, well, basically the primary funder of the Palestinian resistance. It has a byline in its national budget that dedicates money annually to the Palestinian resistance. If Iran falls, the struggle, the anti-imperialist struggle in the region, and the Palestinian struggle in particular, will face a very significant setback, probably of generations. So to the extent that you believe in a free Palestine, you need to support a free Iran, an Iran free of US imperialism. But also, imperialism is the primary contradiction in the world. And none of us, from the people here on this land to the people on the other side of the world, are going to be free until we deal with this fundamental problem. What we're seeing in the streets of the US is directly tied to US imperialism. It's not independent of it. The picking up of Somalis, that has to do with US foreign policy. It's not about just domestic stuff. This is at the end of the day an empire. It was forged through empire. This land was forged through empire.
You're muted, Erica.
Sorry. I was going to say thank you so much for coming on today. Very appreciative of this. Hopefully that this will help. You mentioned being part of the Anti-Imperialist Scholars Collective. Do you want to talk a bit about that, where people can find the work that you all are doing? Because I know there's a lot of great essays that has been written with more sources and details that folks can jump into.
Yeah, so we have a website, www.antiimperialist.com, with a dash in the middle. We actually just issued our first red paper on the abduction of Maduro and sort of rehistoricized why and what happened. And then we have a blog, a very active blog, and also a podcast. And you can find the podcast on our YouTube page or on Spotify. But all of this is also on our website. And we also, some of our co-founders are BAP members that you know and love. So it's genuinely an internationalist effort. Thank you all so much for having me. It's truly an honor. Thank you for all your work.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Ooh, I love our interviews.
Very good, very good, very good. Yeah. We've been having some lit interviews these past weeks. This is what we do right here on the Remix Morning Show. Thanks to our great host for calling them up and making sure that they are here on point.
Iran is now on my, well, it has been on my bucket list, but it's moved up. I'm gotta get out of here.
I was supposed to.
Gotta get out of here.
I was invited around 2022, around the women freedom thing, because I had wrote a piece on hashtag activism. Then I got an invitation to come. They do journalist conference or anti-imperialist journalism conferences. I know Cuba does it as well. I just haven't gotten a chance to go. But I know folks who have gone. So yeah, I'm very much interested in that Lebanon as well. Yeah.
Right.
What about you, Ear Doctor? What's your thoughts on Iran? Did you learn some things?
Oh, I was doing some other stuff. I ain't even gonna hold you.
We do
I was back there reading. My bad.
cute. Okay.
I should have been watching social media, learning, but I was reading. My bad. My face was down in the book. I wasn't able to,
Okay, Ear Doctor.
Yes.
What happened at Morris Brown? What the devil?
Oh,
Listen, man, that was if that wasn't the most Morris Brown story.
that is. If Can't Get Right was a school boy, I tell you.
Does Morris Brown need an Iranian style revolution?
Oh my God. I was like, really? Y'all gonna fire this man and then hire him back the next week? Like, how do you go back to the school knowing all these board members wanted you fired and you just gonna walk into work like, oh hey, how you doing?
Why did they fire him? What did he do?
On his day off, no less.
Right. You know you messed up real bad when they fire you on your day off.
On your day off.
In the office.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they just had other plans. Listen, back when I was in school over there, man, we had speak outs and went against the administration and the board and got one of the presidents fired and everything. So they've been really on some bullshit for a while. And they just showed themselves. They just showed how much bullshit they on, and they looking bad right now. But and I don't know, man. The school, they got like one building. It's pretty much up for grabs. It's almost like a real estate school now. They just selling off all property because it's right there by the stadiums and it's a lot of land that wants to get bought up by this corporation. So they pretty much like, you know what, we'll stay here. We'll have one building and sell everything else to everybody else. So
gotta love private equity.
But the education I got from Morris Brown cannot be duplicated. I tell you that.
I'm sure. I have no doubt.
I might agree.
It can't. We brought Dr. Charles Finch to Morris Brown. We brought big time scholars over there. We had books made up from different scholars that wasn't your regular book. So we had more leeway to do stuff because we didn't have people all over our backs, and we had professors that wanted to see you graduate and get you up out of there because they realize what type of society we dealing in. So yes.
What happened to and he just
No, I think he called himself dropping the mic on us.
I think that's what that. Okay,
his exclusive education.
I got I got no more. I got nothing else to say about that. I'm gonna leave that alone.
But congratulations to the man.
Yay!
It's hard for. Clearly, it's hard for Black men to keep a job.
It is. I'm not. You know what? Fight for yours, man.
We always want to cheer for Black people keeping their job.
I'm saying, fight for yours. I'm not even mad because you know who is fighting for? It's not theirs, but they sure look. This whole thing. They ransacked the U.S. Capitol and want the government to pay them back. This is happening right now. The president's pardon freed them from prison and emboldened them to demand money from the government. I'm just going to go down. I'm going to go because I'm going to give y'all this link and you can read it yourself. So they start, and this is being reported by the Washington Post, they start talking about this person what's her name, Yvonne St. Cyr, who was among those who stormed the Capitol on January 6th. Federal judge sentenced her to 30 months in prison, imposed $2,270 in financial penalties for her actions at the U.S. Capitol.
That's real low.
Yeah, I'm like, that's it? That's all? They didn't get like five-figure, big old six-figure. Really? Okay.
She want rest.
Um,
She want a refund. She
yeah,
want a
yes,
refund.
yes. The article says, but her story doesn't end there. Oh, let me go back up too. She served only half her sentence before Trump's January 2025 pardon set her and almost 1,600 others free, but her story doesn't end there. St. Cyr headed back to court seeking a refund of the $2,270. It's my money, the Marine Corps veteran from
Mm.
Idaho said in an interview with the Washington Post. They took my money. What happened to the
I
personal
got,
responsibility? But in
I got a
August,
comment. I got a comment.
uh-huh.
You can sue the government if you had to pay restitution, because I can call a couple people. But
Uh,
also, I didn't even know that was a thing. But also, I just want to highlight that Marine Corps veterans thing, because
yes.
how many of that 1,600 were former military, former police? Because they really keep trying to act like there's not an ideological component in this. Like these were just, they really make it appear like these are some like lowly workers, like
Right.
trailer park whites that
These are just the
were,
angry
yeah.
poor whites.
All right,
Mm-mm,
continue.
yeah. Mm-hmm. In August, the same judge who sentenced her reluctantly agreed, pointing to a legal quirk in her case. The ruling revealed an overlooked consequence of Trump's pardon for some January 6 offenders. Not only did it free them from prison, it emboldened them to demand payback from the government. At least 8 January 6 defendants are pursuing refunds of the financial penalties paid as part of their sentences. According to a post review of court records, judges agreed that St. Cyr and a Maryland couple should be reimbursed, while 5 more are appealing denials. St. Cyr and the couple are still waiting to receive their payments. Others are filing civil lawsuits against the government seeking millions of dollars, alleging politically tainted prosecutions and violations of their constitutional rights. Hundreds more have filed claims accusing the Justice Department, FBI, and other law enforcement agencies of inflicting property damage and personal injuries, according to their lawyer. The efforts are the latest chapter in an extraordinary rewriting of history by the president and his allies to bury the facts of what happened at the Capitol, sustain the false claim that the 2020 election was rigged, and recast the January 6 offenders as victims entitled to taxpayer-funded compensation.
But
Oh,
Yvonne said that's her money.
huh?
Yvonne said that's her money. That ain't the taxpayer money. And so
Mm,
also, so the restitution is because, well, they want the money back because they
mhm.
were pardoned. So technically
Right.
they weren't guilty of anything, so they wouldn't have to pay restitution. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, they looked for that one. I mean, they got a case. But, but
I mean,
this is
look,
a litigious ass country. Lord,
this
we
is
love a lawsuit in this country.
and see, these are these people, these folks who have been the law and order, follow the law, constitution, obey law enforcement, obey. They don't. They suffer the consequences of their actions, but then, oh look, there's a special loophole that allowed them to not suffer the consequences of their actions, but anybody else. Let some of the people in Minnesota start suing the federal government, the Trump regime in particular, for what they're doing in Minnesota. None of these folks are going to have the same response to that they're having here. And again, if you think we are getting reparations from these people, Like we keep thinking that we have to explain, that they don't understand, that they don't know why. Yes, they do. They absolutely understand the logic, the reasoning. They understand that reparations are due. They know what they are. They understand they are not going to ever actually give them to us. We are going to have to take it, and we will get reparations when we take power in this country.
I
We
also
will
feel
get
like,
reparations when we destroy imperialism,
yeah, I was going to
because we
say
ain't
that
gonna get it from these people.
no, but even to the point, like even how it's being used here, I don't even want that to be confused as like that's not what they're doing, right?
Right.
So even if we say, well, they are using, because it is a legitimate, they got a case. If
Yeah.
it is that they are technically not guilty, then they shouldn't have paid for any, for
Hmm.
restitution for being guilty. So that is a case, but I don't think it should be named as reparations. Because I think that confuses even that process, right? Because we're seeing even there's sort of like in California, some areas of the Midwest, they are taking the state in some instances to court and things like that. But how are we defining reparations as a holistic thing and not just these sort of monetary payoffs? And that's what I think folks are kind of gravitating to, like, well, if they could do it, we should probably consider or use the courts as we can, because these are not our systems. And so even to your point about reparations being political power, etc., because I mean the courts, what even are the courts today?
Right.
Like
Right.
what even are the three branches? What exists and what doesn't? And I think we need to be moving towards that. I know I got into a little kerfuffle about saying, that the U.S. is a dying, empire that's lashing out, right? And so now we want to play semantics around, is the U.S. a dying empire, yes or no? And I do think it depends on the context of which we look at it. But I think for our own, we need to be looking at it like, yes, it is dying. Like, this is not the symptoms of a strong society. These are the symptoms of a very sick one, right? And that it's rabid and it's lashing and it's all over. And so if we have that particular clarity, where instead of being pushed towards, but it can be saved,
Right.
but if we can only just remove this person, it can be saved. It's like, no, because even if we say, what are we saving? And for whom? For the people who can just walk into the courtroom and demand their money back for things they've actually done, when we know that we could never. I mean, because I have no skin in the game about what was even done that day, right? I
Right.
have some
Like, okay.
judgment, because white people be taking it a step too far now. You ain't gotta put stuff on the wall, like feces on the wall. It'd be too much, right? But the overall
Like, yeah.
sentiment, of it, I'm not really. I have no
Yeah.
opposition really. But it needs to be coming, it's not coming from us. It's not anything that we're leading. It's not, it's not our charge, because there are aspects of looking to save it because of the weeds of it all. We are 250 years this year. I'm just learning, right, of America. So as a country is approaching, this 250-year mark, and we're kind of seeing all the culmination of the propaganda that has led to this point. And so, how are we reversing it? How are we thinking about it? Especially now, right? When we see the Canadian Prime Minister is making comments, which, listen, if you all need to just step aside and let NATO fall, please, just let them
Please just let it go. Let it go.
Let it fall, please. But it's breaking. Nina mentioned it. Macron's text message. We're with you on Syria. We stand behind you on Iran. Greenland is a step too far. Like,
Right. Right.
So I'm seeing this all play out, and the U.S. is becoming more isolated, and it can only begin to turn more inward as it is, because it doesn't have, yeah, so we need to be, I think it benefits us. I don't think it's anything that's like a delusional kind of perspective. I'm very clear on what the U.S. is and what it's doing, but I think for our morale, we need to be clear that this shit is not sustainable. And where are those pockets of where are those pockets of instability that we can just really like poke in? Because it's not sustainable. It is crashing in real time. I mean, we talked about the housing bubble. When that hits, because that's just one. The tech bubble is also coming.
Oh my God, the tech bubble is gonna, oh my God. If you have not experienced a hike in your electric bill, consider yourself lucky, because the way data centers snuck in, and by the time we started talking about data centers, they were already a problem. That is wild to me, how an aspect of the tech bubble kind of was percolating under the surface, almost literally, for years before we realized it was happening. And now here we are, where the damage is already being caused by the data centers that we're just now realizing are causing the damage that we've been paying for. It's just, when I see these kinds of stories, like, these white folks being able to use aspects of the system that they are well aware, those in power, like Trump didn't pardon these people out of the kindness of their heart. It was ideological. It was the reaffirmation of white supremacist, the ideology that this is a white nation. So so white folks should be able to do what they want and not be held accountable for so of course somebody in his administration knew doggone well they're gonna be able to get their money back. They know this. These are that is how well organized these people are. That is the advantage they have over us. It is organization and almost ideological clarity that we sometimes slip off of. Yeah, they have money. Yeah, they have power, but how did they get it? How did they get it?
Yeah.
They knew what they wanted and they agreed on the one thing they wanted. They all wanted. And they're like, you know what? Y'all can go over in your corners and do whatever other weird thing you want to do. But when it comes to power, we're all on this tip. And they were like, okay.
Right. And so even to that, I think we talked about like the unity, struggle, unity, or like the importance of unity of ideas, right? Especially if we're trying to create a base, we're trying to build, a mass organization or united front or whatever the terminology people are using to just say, collectivizing our forces. But I do think even to that point, when we talk about these people, the whites, the MAGAs, whatever, being unified or organized, they are unified under idea, and they gather forces under that idea, and they build and strengthen under that idea. And those who are not getting with that idea, they're good. Like, you don't want to join us. You don't want to be a part of this idea, because we're moving with this idea and we're building from this idea. So it is a unity of idea. And I think that's also what we're missing too, because there's so much conversation around, well, we don't all have to be ideologically aligned. And we don't. But we all have to be aligned and with an objective. We can't all just be here for the sake of being here. What are we moving towards collectively? What are we demanding collectively? And if it takes someone or groups to come together and say, this is what our focus should be, just to be able to bring people on and say, you know what, that's actually something we're working on, or I agree with that focus. How can we expand it as we move forward? And so those are the conversations that I don't like with Enbrock, I think is a good example of that. I seen yesterday, I didn't see the entire interview, but I do think that was some of the things that they were talking about. But I do think there is such an importance of unity of idea. We don't have to be like ideologically moving in the same, or not ideologically the same. Not yet. Because that's the struggle part. Unity, struggle. and then we get to the unity, right? And so what that implies is we're coming together for one thing. We can struggle around particular contradictions, but at the end, we're finding a point of unity to work towards. And that is a constant. And that's the dialectic of what we're doing, right? And I think there's ways that people want to circumvent both the unity and the struggle to get to some kind of, like unity is just going to fall from the sky, or collectivism just drops on our lap and we're all going to be aligned. We're never all going to be aligned, but we should all be cognitive of a purpose. Why are we collectivizing? And without that, I mean, we've seen what these, people can talk about centralization, but we've also seen the examples over these last 10 years of what not having that looks like, and how easily things fell apart, right?
Yep.
So maybe we look at these things as things to study, to learn from, and not as just a moment in time that we just keep moving. We do always have to kind of go back and say, what went wrong here? What went right here? So that we can move forward. So yeah, I do think that when we talk about the whites, we talk about the right, we never emphasize that they don't get along. They don't like each other. There's fractures here, there, and there.
Yep.
But they're unified under an idea. Yeah, and that's what keeps them moving.
And they're not unified just because they're white. That's not their point of unity. We think it is, but that is not their point of unity. That's not. It is an ideology that they agree to, a goal that they are all working toward, and just being Black is not a goal. So anyway, but you know what is a goal? The ear doctor. He does. He is a goal.
I'm goals.
He is something to attain. I think you're something to aspire to.
Yeah. I like that. I'm
Level
goals.
of professionalism. Yeah.
There we go. This thing.
Put that in bio.
Speaking of. Oh, I gotta get out here because this internet is. I don't know if internet, Erica, is contagious, but
don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
This thing is not letting me be great right now. Anyway, what we got coming up on Dark and the Blue, Jackie?
I do not know. I know there's going to be a show Friday. I don't know what I want to talk about. So tune in. Surprise.
Surprise. What about you, Erica? What we got coming up? Anything?
Potentially on Night School tonight, which is Mark Lamont Hill. So you can catch me in Austin, Cole, at 10 p.m. Hold on, commentary.
I'm not sure it'll work.
Go over there and represent. Yeah.
No, I'm fine with Mark. I don't feel the way most of y'all do. There be some strong opinions. There's that, and then the week of action that's coming up. We have the online mobilization, so it's an international online mobilization, especially taking part in the Americas around Venezuela. We want Maduro home, we want Celia home, so we have that on the 25th, and then the week of action starts on the 23rd. So if whatever you're doing or planning to do, you can go to UNAC's website and enter that in, so we are aware of any banner drops or mobilizations or teach-ins that you all are doing around the issue of Venezuela. I may or may not be out the country 6-7 this weekend. We're waiting to hear back, but that's what's going on. It's very busy, and that's it. That's all.
Right. Sounds good. Tomorrow, me and Kim Brown will be breaking down Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis production, all the different artists they work with. So make sure y'all tune in for that and come back here for some more of the Remix Morning Show. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day. Big up to all those people that's at work, not able to read right now, but are able to listen today. On that note, have a great one.
Peace.
Black Liberation Media is a collective of Black and African organizers, journalists, academics, and media personalities serving Black and African masses seeking to further grow in their understanding of themselves, their histories, and the African world through entertainment and news. Please continue to like, subscribe, and donate to the channel so we can further serve you and liberate our people. You can also go to blkliberationmedia.org, get some merchandise, and also become a Patreon member and a member from the YouTube. Please do what you can, share, and show your love as we will show ours for you, Black Liberation Media.